It was late afternoon in a quiet little town. The sky, once painted with soft golden light, had turned heavy with dark, swollen clouds. People hurried through the streets, umbrellas open, jackets pulled tight, all rushing to escape the storm. Among them was a little girl named Sophie, no older than 10, with brown hair clinging to her cheeks from the rain. She carried a worn school bag and clutched it tightly against her chest as she walked home. Sophie wasn't like most children her age. Her life had been harder than most would ever know. Her father had left years ago, and her mother worked long hours at the diner, often leaving Sophie to take care of herself. But despite the loneliness she sometimes felt, Sophie had a heart that was gentle, hopeful, and quick to see others' pain. As the rain grew heavier, Sophie spotted something unusual near the corner of the road. An elderly man, soaked to the skin, sat in a wheelchair that seemed to have jammed against the curb. Cars splashed water as they passed, but no one stopped. The man struggled, his frail arms trembling as he tried to maneuver the wheels, but the puddles only deepened around him. For a moment, Sophie hesitated. She was small, and the man's wheelchair looked heavy. She could keep walking and no one would ever know, but something in her heart wouldn't let her leave him there. She dropped her school bag under a small tree to keep it dry and rushed toward him. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling more from nervousness than the cold. The man looked up, surprised. His eyes, though tired, were kind. "My chair's stuck," he said softly, "and the rain a broken bar. I can't move it by myself." Without a second thought, Sophie put her small hands against the cold metal and pushed with all her strength. The wheels resisted, the mud holding them in place like glue. Rain ran down her arms and plastered her clothes to her skin, but she didn't give up. "Come on, all broken bar, just a little more," she whispered, straining with every muscle. Finally, with a sharp jerk, the wheelchair lifted over the curb. The man gasped in relief, and Sophie nearly fell to her knees from exhaustion. "Thank you, child," he said, his voice breaking. "You didn't have to stop." Sophie smiled, even though her lips were trembling from the cold. "My mom always says a broken bar if you see someone who needs help, you don't walk away." The man's eyes filled with tears, though the rain tried to hide them. "Your mother raised you well." "My name is Mr. Harris." That day, what began as a simple rescue turned into the beginning of something extraordinary neither of them could foresee. Sophie didn't know that Mr. Harris was carrying a secret that would soon change her life. The storm passed, but Sophie insisted on walking with Mr. Harris to his small apartment building just a few streets away. His hands were trembling, and Sophie noticed he barely had any groceries or food in his home. Over the next weeks, Sophie visited him whenever she could. After school, she would knock on his door with a smile, sometimes bringing him leftovers from the diner where her mom worked. Mr. Harris, in return, shared stories of his younger days, how he once worked as a carpenter, how he built toys for children in the neighborhood, and how he used to sit with his late wife on the porch, watching sunsets together. For Sophie, who had grown up with so much absence, these visits were like finding a missing piece of family she never knew she had. And for Mr. Harris, who had lost everyone close to him, Sophie's laughter filled a silence he thought would never end. But the true miracle was yet to come. One rainy evening, much like the first day they met, Mr. Harris handed Sophie a small wooden box, carved by his own hands. Inside was a folded letter. "I've been keeping this for the right person," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "And I believe that person a broken bar is you." Sophie opened the letter and gasped. It was a legal document Mr. Harris had arranged for her and her mother to inherit his savings and the little house he owned. Years of careful living had left him with more than enough to change their lives forever. "I have no family left," Mr. Harris explained softly. "But you a broken bar, you gave me family again. And I want you to have the security I never had as a child. You gave me hope, Sophie. Now, let me give something back." Sophie burst into tears, hugging him tightly. For the first time, she felt the weight of the word miracle. When Sophie's mother learned of this, she too wept, overwhelmed with gratitude. No longer would they struggle to make ends meet, and though they never asked for anything in return, their kindness had opened the door to a blessing beyond imagination. Years later, Sophie would often tell the story to her own children, Never ignore someone in need. One small act of kindness can change not just one life but two. That day in the rain, I thought I was helping an old man in a wheelchair, but really, he was the miracle I never knew I needed.